Last year, my online coaching business made $1.5 million in profit. In this video, I'm going to show you step by step exactly how I did that so you can just copy me and grow a successful online coaching consulting business for yourself. Now, like all great stories, we're going to start at the beginning, which is where the business was. So I actually acquired a stake in this company in June of 22, and this is where it started. So the company had been running for about 5 years. They had client testimonials. They were getting about 3 to 5 clients a month. The price point was currently $16K, and that had been incrementally increased over 5 years. I believe the offer originally was something like $2,000 or $3,000. And the timeline and stuff that the offer was delivered on was obviously different, but it just shows, how much has ramped up since then. 95, if not more like 99% of clients, if I'm honest, just came from word of mouth referrals, which is absolutely just a telltale sign that you've got a great product, a great offer, a great business, right? So if you put fuel on this fire where you know how to run marketing campaigns and paid advertising, anything to do with marketing, outbound, inbound, cold, you are just going to pour so much gasoline on this fire. You're going to be able to grow a business so quickly your head will spin. All right. So the first thing that I looked at when I came into this business was actually the price point and essentially the offer we're delivering. So that's how much was it? What was the timeline of the engagement, and what was the deliverable that we were promising? All right. So a good framework for when you are looking at pricing and looking at increasing pricing, which is exactly what I wanted to do, was keep incrementally increasing it until you see a drop in conversion rates, or you see an increase in time to close too big for you to basically either sustain the business or feel comfortable. So let's say you are already running paid marketing, and let's just say arbitrarily your time to close is 2 weeks, and then you could increase your price point by 100%, but your time to close would be 6 weeks. You might not have enough capital to sustain that, right? So they're the two things that I look at. So when I joined, the price point was $16K for 8 weeks. And that was basically purely focused on the sales coaching. Now, what we ended up doing was increasing that to $24K for 12 months. Now, this actually had both a positive and an adverse effect on the business. And we didn't run this offer for long, maybe 6 weeks. So one of the constant themes on closing calls, and this is where you get a ton of information from your prospects, was that the 8 weeks was not that appealing because they weren't that confident that they would be able to get the result that they wanted. So what we did is we wanted to increase the timeline, but also increase the price. So we thought, okay, well, we'll do $24K for 12 months. Close rate went up significantly. And the issue we then saw was people were now not in a rush to take action on the coaching. So they weren't turning up to calls, they weren't implementing frameworks, they weren't building out the processes, because in their mind, they're like, oh, I've signed up for this, they've got that dopamine hit. They weren't actually now doing the work. So what ended up happening was, a month would go by, 2 months would go by, and they've done nothing. And then they would come to us and be like, why have we paid all this money for coaching? It's not done anything. When in reality, they hadn't done anything because there wasn't that urgency anymore. So we actually ended up changing this to a 3-month and a 6-month. And we also indexed in that first 4 weeks, we're having 2 calls a week with clients minimum. So we made sure all the processes, everything was getting built out, and they were getting everything dialed in, specifically the lead generation, so that they were then booking a good amount of sales calls. All right. So the average price point went from 16K to 22K on average. And that's a split obviously between 18 and 24K packages. Now, what we found was we still got the same number of deals. We got better leads. We made more money, and people were happier, and we got even more testimonials. So I think right now on the website, there's something like 70 or 100 testimonials. It's a ton now. All right. Now, the next thing, and by the way, you want to wait till the end, I've got the CAC and LTV of every single channel, so I'm breaking it all down for you. The next channel here is cold email. Now, cold email is a phenomenal channel for certain niches. It's definitely better for some rather than others. Now we're in a very small niche here. We only work with VC-backed SaaS startups. So we're not working with any SaaS company. You had to have raised VC capital, okay? That also helped us with the price increase because people ultimately weren't spending their money. So it wasn't as much of a hit, but you can price offers based on like where your market is at. Right? And this is why it's always better to sell at the higher end of the market. I know people in other niches that have 100K ticket for their coaching because they're selling to venture capitalists and private equity firms. All right. But again, I've sold to real estate agents as well, and it was $1,500 a month. So I know what both sides of the coin look like. Now, cold email, speaking of real estate, actually works very well in certain niches. Now, this is just the perfect framework for cold email. This is exactly the framework we use, and I'm about to show the emails we use too. First name, you always want to have their first name. This shows you've done some level of research. You've found out exactly who they are. You also use this in the subject line. It increases open rates dramatically. Personalization, just call out something specific, right? So it's not just like the same drone email. By personalization, something you can do is you can also call out an industry pain point, and that also works. And it therefore means you don't have to personalize every email. That's just kind of a little bit of a trick there. How you help them very specifically. So, we get you 10 leads isn't like, what does that even mean? Where do you get them from? How does that help us? We don't even want leads, right? Like there's all of this stuff that's happening. Just be very specific. The next one, social proof, okay? So back up with your statement of how you help people like them with other people you've helped who look just like them, okay? Then, very simple, call to action. Is this something you would like me to help you with? Don't overcomplicate it. So this is exactly how our email looked like, delivering us hundreds of thousands in profit a year. Hey, first name. It was ICB Snippet. So we would say something like, hey, I was on your website and I noticed you're selling to sales companies, whatever. I noticed, you don't have any sales reps currently, so I'm assuming you're still doing founder-led sales, which again is exactly how we help. I'm reaching out because the last 6 years, we've helped early stage founding teams build, train, and scale their first inside or founder-led sales playbooks. Very specific, founder-led sales playbooks, not playbooks for sales teams, founder-led sales. We've worked with over 300 clients, 87% coming out of Y Combinator. Again, social proof. And we actually, in the PS line, on the second email, would actually add a link to all the testimonials too. Is building out a sales playbook on your radar? Very clear, call to action. Now let me show you the results of this, okay? They're crazy high. So this was the last 4 weeks. This is basically the beginning of this year, just before I left this company and exited my stake. That's in my first video if you haven't seen it. We had nearly a 10% reply rate. Now, if you know anything about cold email, like good in cold email is like 3%. We had nearly 10%. Now, over a timeline, I think this is 6 months, you can see average was 8.7% reply rate, okay? And the cost of doing this is extremely cheap. You basically got instantly, which is like $97 a month. You got a bunch of email accounts. Like you're talking about hundreds of dollars a month, not thousands of dollars a month to deliver this type of result. All right. Now we would get, these are the same systems that we obviously would build out for clients, right? So our coaching business, we built these out for high ticket SaaS clients as well. So they were selling, whether it was 30K, 100K a year plans. Hey, how'd you personalize outreach? They were curious. This is when we were outreaching. This is one of our clients. Got this feedback. Love your outreach email. The best one I've seen so far. Like, you don't have to overcomplicate this, but just keep it simple, but keep it to this framework, okay? First name, personalization, how you help them specifically, social proof, call to action. And if you don't have social proof of how you help the industry, you should be your own social proof. The very first time, my very first business was growing e-commerce businesses, right? My social proof was the fact that I owned e-commerce businesses. I'd gone out and built my own drop shipping stores back in 2015, 2016, 2017, and had actually had success with them. I'd known how to market them, and I was my own social proof. That's how I got my first clients. So the next one is cold LinkedIn. Cold LinkedIn works well. It used to be even better. The issue with it now is you don't have enough outreach per day. You can only do 25 per day per account. So we had me and my partner's account, so we could do 50 a day. Framework with this is essentially the same, just slightly different because you don't want big, long messages in LinkedIn. So we'd say, hey, first message, hey, name, specifically how you help. So it would very much be, hey, Jason, I'm reaching out because we help, people do this. Is this on your radar? Very short. Then the next thing we'd do, second message, which would be like either hours or a day later, we'd basically follow up with, hey, we've helped, 300 plus startups. You can check out their testimonials here, right? And we would link that directly. So these were the results from these campaigns again. So you can just see some here, but these are like the actual graphs, which are pretty and nice, and we all like a graph, right? So 23% reply rate, 45% connections accepted. And then this is over the course of a whole year, 40% connection request acceptance rate, bit of a tongue twister there, and message replies of 21%. So again, incredible channel for us. Very good. Now, the beauty of outbound like this is once you build it and once you understand how to build it, I'm telling you now, all these results, once you build it with AI and automation, I'm talking less than 15 minutes a day to manage all of the replies that will come in, right? And this was at small scale, right? Like we're in a very small niche. There's under 10,000 companies a year we can work with. So imagine if you're in like gyms or real estate. Like when I used to have my real estate marketing agency that I sold in 2021, we were sending sometimes up to 1 million emails a month, but the reply rate was obviously a lot less because it was very blanketed and not very targeted. It was like, hey, any agent, just send them a mass email type deal. You can do it two ways, but this way, hyper targeted, really, really, really good emails. Now, the next one, and this is becoming a little bit more popular, is a newsletter. Now, the nice thing about newsletters is you can grow them through both organic and paid, right? Now, if you have a socials that you're posting on, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, you can drive people through to your newsletter. The beauty of newsletters is there is this relationship that people build with you that you don't realize that they're building with you. And I want to touch more on that later. But here's the framework for newsletters. Just continuously deliver value. I think as Gary V said, was it jab, 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 right hook. It's just like continuously deliver, give away all your best stuff. Like in the Ramp newsletter, we literally give all the frameworks for discovery calls, demo calls, scoping calls, POCs, cold email templates, the lot within there. If someone just went through our newsletter and just dissected it all, they would basically have the entire playbook pretty much, right? Definitely enough to scale their business. That's the point. People want to know that you know what you're talking about, and just deliver value. Enforce or reinforce exactly what you're talking about with success stories if you have them. So a bit like I just did that back then with the cold email. It's like, hey, not only did I build this for Ramp, it's like I built this for, I think, 89 high ticket clients last year for Ramp, because it was obviously a consulting firm, and they were getting the same results. They were also closing deals from the outbound, right? And in my opinion, like high ticket SaaS, high ticket services, high ticket coaching, they're all in the same bucket. But SaaS can be a little bit harder because at least with coaching and consulting and services, you usually are helping them step by step get the result. When with SaaS, they're usually just buying a platform. But the process is actually exactly the same. Every email, every newsletter, you want to have a soft ask. I'll show you that in a second. And usually 1 in every 4, we'd have a hard ask, which would be at the very top of the email. So we would run very simple paid ads, and they would look just like this. And there would be videos, right? And sometimes the bullets would show up one at a time. Best decision I ever made in 2024 was learning founder-led sales. Like that. Super simple ad. We would then drive them to a Beehive landing page. I split tested 3 different landing pages. I built two custom built landing pages. One was in WordPress, one was in Go High Level, and this one was in Beehive. This simple Beehive one converts at like nearly 30%. It's insane. If you're going to use a newsletter, use Beehive, just use their standard landing page templates and drive the ads straight to them because they work. This simple, you wouldn't think it, converts very, very high. Now, this is, I remember taking this screenshot. This is how fast it was scaling. It's currently about 5,000. And remember, these are very specific people. It's high people in SaaS who are selling essentially high ticket. They're selling large annual plans. They're looking at scale through founder-led sales. I remember taking this, hitting the first 1,000, just felt good, man. Great open rate as well. Like anyone will tell you, if you've got over a 50% open rate on your newsletter, it's a killer one. This is what I mean by a soft call to action. On every email at the bottom, how we can help, coaching, DIY, recruiting, which we added in later on, but we're obviously just talking about the founder-led sales coaching. Now, this was what was really interesting when it came to like selling and acquiring customers from the newsletter. Is we'd get on sales calls and people just felt like they knew us. Some people would be like, oh, we've read this newsletter for 6 months. It's like, it's great, it's helped us. I always remember this one guy who came on and he was like, I've literally been doing what you've said in the newsletter. He's like, I've done it over 4 months and I have scaled my company and I've added like 30K MRR to my SaaS. He was like, if you've helped me that much for free, like I want to know what it's like working with you one-on-one. It was incredible. It was great to see. And that was one thing that was like very consistent with closing leads from newsletters. They were super ready to buy. Anyone that came from the newsletter was just very ready to buy because it wasn't common for an ad to run, then join the newsletter, then book a call on the next newsletter issue. We post it every Saturday morning. That was just not common at all. It would be weeks later at a minimum and a lot of the time months later. So again, longest time to book a call, but the shortest time to close, right? Because of all these reasons. So the next one, and this is one that I'm sure a lot of you are interested in is the direct response ads. So I've been running paid media now for over 10 years, right? So I've spent over 100 million on meta ads. A good chunk of that was through my e-commerce agency, Alpha Empires. And I have a very good understanding of paid media. The nice thing for you and everyone else now is paid media used to be a lot about media buying, which is why like technical engineering types like me did very well on it in the early days because data junkies would win. Now, that is not true at all. Good content and good ads win, good creative wins. The targeting is so good on Facebook now that you basically don't need to worry at all about targeting and whatnot. Like there's a few little things you can do for sure, but the ad creative is like 90%. So call out in the ad, here's the framework, call out exactly who you help, tell them what you do and how you're going to help them, the results you're going to deliver, right? Back it with social proof. Hey, we have helped you, people just like you, achieve the result that you are wanting to achieve, okay? Would you like us to help you achieve this too? Have you noticed how this is almost identical to the cold email? This is the framework for closing deals from any marketing, all right? So let me just show you. This is how simple the ads would look. Can we just have a moment of silence for how awesome my stag head is too? Because since moving to Dubai, I miss my stag head. So again, pre-seed seed SaaS founders, we will help you build out established product market fit, scale to 1 million ARR. That was our offer. Simple ads, very little editing. Some had a banner, some didn't. We tried higher edited ones with, B-roll and captions and animations. They didn't perform nearly as well as ads like this, not even close. Drive them to a VSL. Simple. A little tip I want to give you all is this here for SaaS founders looking at scale with founder-led sales. It was unbelievable how many people were trying to book initially that weren't this ICP, even though we constantly reinforced it. So now on every single page, I am reinforcing exactly who we are working with and also have conditional logic built into the survey. Very simple, 5-minute VSL, not complicated at all. We would then drive them to a survey page and then we would drive them to a booking page, again, for pre-seed seed SaaS companies only. Then we would put a thank you page, more testimonials on it. Then we would also drive people to the newsletter. So people who were booked would also then go, okay, I want to apply to the newsletter, and they could subscribe, and then they would actually get the information from that too. Okay. What we found, People knew exactly what they were buying. They'd seen the ad, they'd seen the VSL. We had reinforced it through every single step of the funnel. They had answered 27 questions. Now, I'm not saying that's normal. That amount of friction we needed, there was only 2 of us in this business, right? This wasn't a huge company. This is the point. This is why this is so crazy. There was 2 of us. And we needed as much friction as possible because we didn't have unlimited calendar space. We had to deliver for clients. We had to take the discovery calls and the closing calls. We ran a 2-call close. Like, we just needed the highest quality people on those calls with us. So we got them to answer 27 questions, right? And we also, by giving them testimonials, just enabled super easy due diligence for them. So that's another thing. Now, the final part of this funnel, and this is something that ultimately comes down to you, is referrals. Now, you have to have a great product. Your thing you are offering has to be awesome. There is no way around that. You can't hack your way to a lot of referrals. This company automatically got a lot of referrals. All right. So if you get referrals and you know you got a great product, the 2 best times to ask for referrals is right after they have bought from you and right after they get a big win. So right after they've bought from you, you can say something like, hey, we find that people get the best result from our program if they actually have a friend who's got a similar company who does it with them. Do you have someone in your network that you would also think would get value from this coaching? It's that simple. Right after a big win, they've just closed a deal, they've got all the initial leads coming in, they're booking a load of sales calls. Hey, Jason, I'm so happy to hear that. This is awesome. It's the start of a great thing. Would you mind doing a very quick testimonial for us? Or, sharing a win so, we can use that to help more founders achieve the same awesome results like you are. It's really that simple. Don't overcomplicate this. So the final bit here that I want to dive into is actually the CAC to LTV of all of these. Okay. So CAC to LTV of the price update, we went from 16K to 22K, 24K. It's basically give or take a 50% increase. So even if we hadn't got more deals coming in, we would have made 50% just more profit the following year for doing no additional work. The playbook was the same, the coaching was the same, everything was the same. We just increased the timeline, which increased the close rate, and we also increased the price that everyone was paying. The cold email and cold LinkedIn, I grouped these together, it's just cold outbound. We were paying about $600 a client and the average was $18,000. What's interesting, and I'll show you paid ads later, is you need to understand your CAC to LTV per channel because they will be different. So the downside of this for us as a company was we were capped here. There was no more outbound we could do. Our LinkedIn was capped. We had 2 accounts, and our cold email, we reached out to every single company. There was about 500-ish new companies a month that we could work with. We reached out to all of them every single month. So again, one of the downsides of being in a smaller niche. Newsletter, CAC, negative. Newsletters are insane. You can sell the leads to other providers and they will pay you for them. We were paying about $3, $2 to $3 a lead. We were getting more than that back by selling those leads. You can use a tool like Sparkloop and they literally automate selling of the leads for you. And people have to opt in, by the way. It's not like something shady. We actually made more money on the selling of the leads that were being generated and the affiliate commissions and stuff that we'd get from the newsletter than it would cost us to acquire them. So then every single client we closed didn't cost us anything to acquire. It was actually a negative CAC. They were average about 20K too. So they were pretty much a split between the 18 and 24. Now for direct response ads, this is what's interesting. It was about 3,500, 4K at the most to acquire direct response, but almost every single person paid for the 6-month plan, paid for the 24K plan. So when you actually look at the difference between cold outbound, which was 600K at 18, let's say, broadly speaking, our gross profit was 7,400. Our gross profit here was actually 20,500. So with direct response ads, we actually made more than we did from cold outbound. And then finally is obviously referrals. On average, genuinely is pretty much a split again between 8 and 24K, but the CAC was 0. And they just, they just came from clients having a great experience. So I know this was a long video. I hope you found this super insightful. I wanted to break down everything that has helped scale this to a $1.5 million in profit per year business. I'm telling you, you could take any single one of these strategies, the one that you think is going to be a best fit for you, and grow a multi-six-figure in profit per year business. All right. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.